You know, the 1970s had several pop culture phenomena from the Planet of the Apes series, Star Wars, the last of Star Trek, comedy shows. But this show really stood out, ladies and gentlemen, because it appealed to men and women, children of all ages, and basically was science fiction. Without being science fiction, aspects of James Bond, without being James Bond, aspects of thrillers and investigation, but it wasn't. This goes under numerous genres, including science fiction, action, adventure, crime, drama, mystery, and superhero. Of course, we have to be talking about the Lee Majors-led super hit, The $6 Million Man. Now, most people either had the comic books or the lunch pails or the posters or the magazines of the show, or, like I said, it was various figurines. But the show itself, like I said, it was pure popcorn entertainment. Now, this American science fiction and action adventure TV series ran from 73 to 78 about a former astronaut, USF Colonel Steve Austin, not the Steve Austin you think about, portrayed by Lee Majors, of course, Lee Majors from Big Valley. After being seriously injured in a NASA test flight crash, we can rebuild him. Austin is rebuilt at considerable expense, hence the title of the series, with bionic implants that gave him superhuman strength, speed, and vision. Austin is then employed as a secret agent by the fictional U.S. government office titled OSI, which is a combination of CIA and the FBI. The series was based on Martin Caden's 1972 novel Cyborg, which was the working title of the series during pre-production. And of course, a lot of the aspects of the Steve Austin characters in that book. Following three TV films attended as pilots, which all aired in 73, the show began on ABC as a regular episodic series for 5 seasons from 74 to 78. Steve Austin became a pop culture icon of the 70s, and the opening sequence is just tremendous, one of the greatest in TV history. Now, a spin-off TV series, Demonic Woman, featured a lead female character, Jamie Summers, which ran from 76 to 78. During this time, several crossover episodes were produced. 3 TV movies, including both bionic characters, were also produced from 87 to 94, like their offspring. The composers for this were just tremendous, including Mike Post, Stu Phillips, Jill Melly of Night Gallery fame, and Jerry Fielding. Now, it had 102 episodes and 6 TV movies, produced by the great Harve Bennett of Star Trek fame, who was the executive producer. Kenneth Johnson was producer. 50 to 51 minutes for Universal, even though it appeared on ABC. And it appeared almost 5 straight years from May 7, 73 to March 6, 78. Now, in the opening sequences, when NASA astronaut Austin is severely injured in a crash of an experimental lifting body aircraft, is rebuilt in an operation that cost $6 million, which would be equivalent to $42 million in 2024. His right arm, both legs, and left eye are replaced with bionic implants that enhance his strength, speed, and vision far above human norms. He can run at speeds over 60 miles an hour, and his eye has a 21 zoom lens and infrared capabilities, while his bionic limbs all have the equivalent power of a bulldozer, of course, the bionic man sound effect. He uses his enhanced abilities to work for the OSI as a secret agent. Now, Caden's book, Cyborg, was a bestseller, was published in 72. He followed up with 3 sequels, Operation Nuke, High Crystal, and Cyborg 4, respectively of a black market of nuclear weapons, a Chariots of the Gods scenario, and fusing Austin's bionic hardware to a spaceplane. In March 73, Cyborg was loosely adapted as a made-for-TV movie titled The $6 Million Man, starring Majors as Austin. The producer's first choice was, of all people, Monty Markham. When re-edited for a later series, it was retitled The Moon in the Desert Parts 1 and 2. The adaptation was done by writer Howard Rodman under the working pseudonym of Henry Suman. The film, which was nominated for a Hugo, modified Caden's plot and notably made Austin a civilian astronaut rather than a colonel in the USAF. Absent were some of the standard features of the later series, the electronic sound effects, the slow motion running, and the character of Oscar Goldman. Instead, another character named Oliver Spencer, played by the great Darren McGavin, was Austin's supervisor of an organization he called the Office of Strategic Operations, or OSSO. In the novels, OSSO stood for the Office of Special Operations. The CIA did have an Office of Scientific Intelligence in the 1970s. The lead scientist involved in implanting Austin's bionic hardware, Rudy Wells, was played in a pilot by Martin Balsam, then on an occasional basis in a series by Alan Oppenheimer, and finally as a series regular by Martin E. Brooks. Austin did not use the enhanced capabilities of a bionic eye during the first TV movie. Now, the first movie was a major rating success and was followed by 2 more made-for-TV movies in October and November 1973 as part of ABC's rotating Movie of the Week series. The first was titled The $6 Million Man, Wine, Woman, and War, and the second was titled The $6 Million Man, The Solid Gold Kidnapping. The first of these 2 bore strong resemblances to Caden's second cyborg novel, Operation Nuke. The second, however, was an original story. This was followed in January 1974 by the debut of The $6 Million Man as a weekly hour-long series. The latter 2 movies, produced by Glenn Larson, nobly introduced a James Bond flavor to the series and reinstated Austin's status from the novels as an Air Force colonel. The hour-long series, produced by Harve Bennett, dispensed with the James Bond gloss in the movies and portrayed a more down-to-earth Austin. Major said of Austin, he hates the whole idea of spying. He finds it repugnant and degrading. If he's a James Bond, he's the most reluctant one we've ever had. Use of deadly force by Austin, frequent in Caden's novels and employed occasionally in the movies and early episodes, also decreased as the series progressed. Now, the show was very popular during its run and introduced several pop culture elements of the 1970s, such as the show's opening catchphrase, "We can rebuild him, we have the technology," voiced over by Richard Anderson and his older Oscar Goldman. Now, when I went with Richard Anderson many years ago, he said he only got paid for the one line. He wasn't multiple paid. He literally got paid for that one line. The slow motion action sequences were quite nice, and the accompanying electronic sound effects, again, are very memorable. The slow motion action sequences were originally referred to as the Kung Fu slow motion in popular culture due to his use in that 1970s martial arts TV series. Although, according to the bionic book by Herb J. Pilato, the use of slow motion in the series was inspired by his use by, of all things, the NFL films. Now, in 1975, Lindsay Wagner co-starred in a 2-part episode titled The Bionic Woman, written by Kenneth Johnson, which introduced the lead character, Jamie Summers. A professional tennis player rekindled an old romance with Austin, only to experience a parachuting accident that resulted in her being given bionic parts similar to Austin. Ultimately, her body rejected her bionic hardware and she died. The character was very popular, however, and the following season it was revealed that she had survived, having been saved by an experimental cryogenic procedure, and she was given her own spin-off series, The Bionic Woman. The spin-off ran until 1978, when both it and The $6 Million Man were simultaneously cancelled, though the 2 series were on different networks when their final seasons aired. Yes, it was on different networks. Now, Austin and Jamie Summers returned in 3 subsequent made-for-TV movies. The return of $6 Million Man, The Bionic Woman, 1987. Bionic Showdown, The $6 Million Man, The Bionic Woman, 1989, which features Sandra Bullock in an early role as a new Bionic Woman, and Bionic Ever After, in which Austin and Summers finally married. Majors reprised the role of Steve Austin in all 3 productions, which also featured Richard Anderson and Martin E. Brooks, and Lindsay Wagner reprising the role of Jamie Summers. The reunion film addressed the partial amnesia Summers had suffered during the original series, and all 3 featured Major's son, Lee Majors II, as an OSI agent, Jim Castellan. The first 2 movies were written in the anticipation of creating new Bionic characters in their own series, but nothing further was seen of the new characters introduced in those produced. The 3rd TV movie was intended as a finale. Now, the other key actors in the series included Peggy Callahan, played by Jennifer Darling. It was recurring and a secretary to Oscar Goldman. Now, Rudy Wells, who was played by Balsam in the first pilot and Alan Oppenheimer, the second and third pilots episodes, season 1 and 2, and 1 episode in season 3. And Martin E. Brooks played the character in seasons 3 and 5, as well as on The Bionic Woman and in 3 movies. Austin's physician and primary overseer of the medical aspects of bionic technology was his main role. Now, the crash footage during the opening credits is from an M2F2 crash that occurred on May 10, 1967. Test pilot Bruce Peterson's lifting body aircraft hit the ground at approximately 250 miles an hour and tumbled 6 times, but Peterson survived what appeared to be a fatal accident, though he later lost an I-2 infection. In the episode The Deadly Replay, Oscar Goldman refers to lifting body aircraft in which Austin crashes the HL-10, stating, "We rebuilt the HL-10. The HL-10 is the aircraft first seen in the original Apollo movie during the accident in flight. Now, in the opening series sequence, a narrator, series producer Herb Bennett, identifies the protagonist, Steve Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive. Richard Anderson in character as Oscar Goldman, then in Tollman's character, gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster. During the first season, beginning with Population Zero, Anderson as Goldman and told more simply, we can rebuild him, we have the technology. We can make him better than he was. Better, stronger, faster. During the operation, we was having his bionics fitted. List of items and numbers is displayed. Lists his power plant as atomic. Now, the opening and closing credits used the theme song written by Glenn Larson and sung by Dusty Springfield, backed by the Ron Escalade Prasanna. The song was also used in the final promotion of the series. However, when the weekly series began, this song was replaced by an instrumental theme by Oliver Nelson. The first regular episode, Population Zero, introduced a new element to the opening sequence, a voiceover by Oscar Goldman stating a rationale behind creating a bionic man. The first season narration opening credits arrangement of Nelson's theme were shorter than that used in the second and subsequent seasons. Of course, the bionic included a bionic left eye, bionic legs, and a bionic right arm, so 3 appendages. Now, the pilot movies aired between March and November 73, 13 episodes in their first season with the shortened season, then 22, 21, 22, and 21, and of course the TV movies in 87 and 94. Now, the original novels including Cyborg, Operation Nuke, High Crystal, and Cyborg the Fourth. Novelizations included Wine Woman at War, Solid Gold Kidnapping, Pilot Error, The Rescue of Athena 1, The Secret of Bigfoot Pass, which led into the Bigfoot episodes, and International Incidents. Now, Carlton Comics got on board too, published a color comic book in a black and white magazine featuring original adventures as well as differing adaptations of original TV movies, similar to the Planet of the Apes publications. While the comic book was closely based upon the series and geared towards a young audience, the magazine was darker and more violent and seemed to be based more upon the literary version of the character aimed at adult readers. Now, there was a British comic strip version was also produced, which ran for several years in English and French. Now, a new comic book series called Bionics was announced by Maximum Press, but it was ultimately never published. So, and of course, there was Peter Pan audiobooks on the infamous record. Now, Universal Pictures were trying to do a big screen movie in '95 with at first Kevin Smith, but the outing never realized. And there's been many possibilities, but it's never hit the final stage. Now, ironically, ladies and gentlemen, when we were kids, most people can tell you everything stopped when the Bionic Man came on because it was that good. Because Lee Majors, and later on with the Fall Guy, he was a very handsome guy, very debonair, and I think it worked in this because he looked like an everyman. Lee Majors was handsome but not too handsome, but his relationship with Farrah Fawcett, he's overall. But it's funny, it never moved into a big screen success. I think it was paid so much on the small screen version, he didn't have to do big screen movies. But it was a lot of great guest stars, a lot of great shows. Everybody from Andre the Giant to a myriad of B and A level celebrities. I think with the Bionic Woman, we were spoiled, ladies and gentlemen. We had the Bionic Woman, the Incredible Hulk, we had Wonder Woman, okay, Greatest American Hero, a myriad of science fiction shows from the 70s and the 80s, Man from Atlantis. I mean, it was a great time for TV science fiction. And with the crime shows as well, you put it all together, and ladies and gentlemen, the Bionic Man, I don't know what, if it's considered, I consider this as the top pop show of the 1970s. Here's what I tell you, from the merchandise and everything. Before Star Wars, there was the Bionic Man, and there's no way you could have made Star Wars so successful from a merchandising standpoint, because you had Evel Knievel, you had Planet of the Apes, and you had the Bionic Man, $6 Million Man, whatever you want to call it. But we were kids, ladies and gentlemen. The show was fascinating in French. I watched a lot of the episodes in the French, and a lot of people said that the Planet of the Apes TV series couldn't compete with the screenplay and structure. And don't forget, Richard Anderson was very well respected as well. And like I said, because of his background on The Fugitive, background on different episodic series, I think The Bionic Man, like I said, is not only one of the best pop shows of the 70s, one of the most underrated shows of all time, because it was simple plots every week and you had to keep it going. So it was a cousin to The Saint and The Avengers and all those great shows. One day a week it was a thriller, and there was dark comedy too as well. And the Bionic Woman wasn't as good, but with Lindsay Wagner, obviously everybody got big respect for her. One of the nicest people I ever had a chance to interview, by the way. So that's a throw. I still think you could make the Bionic $6 Million Man, but it should be a throwback to like the 70s culture, you know. And you know what would be good for $6 Million Man? It's pretty well obvious. Brad Pitt. Think of the millions you would make. If Tom Cruise can do Mission Impossible and Matt Damon can do the Bourne movies, why couldn't Brad Pitt? He's around that age, debonair. So that's my thought anyway. Stay away from the over special effects. So that's the story of one of the greatest TV series of all time, The $6 Million Man. If you like what we're doing here, we're a TV Vintage podcast. Let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share.